Alright, didn't do a startup video for this one, so I'm just going to tear right into this piece of cottonwood bark. And working on a old cartoon character called Popeye. So I'm sure everybody, or most people anyways, have seen his little cartoon strip in the newspapers or watched a cartoon on TV or whatever. But anyways, this was just an older version of Popeye. Somebody did a drawing on Google Images. It was just some different drawings, different paintings, and I think one guy even did a 3D printed thing of this. But yeah, so I thought it was had a lot of character to it, and it'd be a fun little project to do. So started carving him out. So here he is. Okay, just a quick snippet of history from Popeye. So Elzie Chrysler Seeger drew Popeye in a comic strip back in the early 1900s, and he was modeled after a fellow that grew up in Seeger's hometown. This real-life character's name was Frank Fiegel. People called him Rocky, and Frank was a bouncer in a tavern in Chester, Illinois, where Seeger grew up. And this bouncer would tell the local children the stories of his fights, and said his strengths came from eating spinach. He also smoked a pipe and had a deformed eye from fighting. So that's kind of where the story came from, the character came from. And I guess a lot of the other characters in the comic strip were also people that he knew whenever he was a kid back in Chester, Illinois, and then when he got older, he just wrote down his memories and different things about the people that he knew as a kid. So anyways, that's kind of where the Popeye story came from. We're just going to cut him out of this piece of wood and see what he looks like nowadays. Anyways, this picture had a lot of character to it, and so I decided to carve it out. Might be able to guess which size is the Popeye. Well, this is an old man Popeye too, so he doesn't have the young vigor that he had in the cartoon. This cottonwood bark carves pretty easy with these. Dremels with the burrs. It's dusty, but it carves nice, and you can put in quite a bit of detail. I started carving this pipe off to the side here, and I didn't like what it was looking like, so I did change it. I just turned it around and pointed it out the front the way it should have been. I wasn't sure I was going to have enough room for it, but I decided to dig down deep and get it in there. Just wouldn't have looked right the other way. There's something about carving faces with lots of character. They're a lot of fun. To carve. Can be really challenging if you're trying to follow just a photo, because the photo just gives you a flat image and you have to try to fill in all the blanks. once you get the features cut in, then you can just keep cutting them in deeper and deeper to get the look you want. There, I started carving the hat. I'm not going to put you guys through all the variations of carving this hat. I had a couple hours. I changed my mind a couple times on it, but it actually looks pretty good. This was just the first roughing it out here. This cottonwood bark, you try to leave just a little bit of that cottonwood bark, the outside texture of it showing through somewhere, because then people know what it's made of. It's and then it gives it kind of an old rustic look to it, and people can see how close you were to the edges of it whenever you were carving it. I had room to get one ear on there. It was that one piece of wood that was sticking out on his right side, but the other side I didn't have the wood there to carve the ear out of, so I just pretended it was there and kind of started to make the ear a little bit, just to give the indication that it was there, and just went with that. Adding all his wrinkles was a lot of fun. A lot of wrinkles on this guy. There we go, putting some wrinkles on his forehead. Trying to get them to go both directions. In the picture, he had wrinkles going up and down, wrinkles going side to side. Saggy bags under his eyes and on his cheeks. Lots of little fun details to work on this one. He's starting to look like something a little bit. Getting some of the rough edges knocked down. I decided to put the top of his shirt down here at the bottom and put that little tie tied bow with a sailor's uniform on there. So we're going to tie a little knot here. Knots are fun. They're kind of like octopus tentacles. You got to think about how the different parts are going in between each other and underneath of each other. It's a neat little challenge. There's a big old mole on his chin there. Held it out there in front of me for a few minutes and realized the top of his hat was sticking up too high, so I decided to shave some of that off. And still had his eyeball sticking out too far. I left it on there. I wasn't sure how much of it I was going to need, so I shaved it down a little bit. I'd carve it out, get it all nice and round, and then cut it down some more and get it all nice and round again, and then cut it down again. And so I finally get it down to the size I like. I cut some little grooves in there so whenever I paint it, I could make his eye look bloodshot. That's what this is. This is just getting down into those grooves. It was a very small groove in there, so I was just letting the paint run down in there, and then I'm just going to brush the white over top of it. I'm just using the watered down folk art paints. I water them down so that it's just a lot thinner to work with, and it kind of lets the wood show through a little bit. Almost more like a staining it instead of just painting it on heavy. Just adding a little bit of skin color to them. It all kind of blends in here a few minutes after it. When it dries, this bright color goes away quite a bit, and then I go over it too with some other colors and kind of blend it all in. Just taking a little bit of the thin down bark brown. Getting in all the low spots just to make the shadows a little darker. Adding a little bit of black in some spots to get that shadow darker. There was a lot of wrinkles. I was trying to get his wrinkles all painted in, just darkened up a little bit, all down in the valleys, all the wrinkles. And there's a lot of wrinkles on this guy. And you can see how it's drying and all that stuff just kind of fading away. Looks really dark when you first paint it on because it's wet, and then just has the water in it and makes the wood really turns dark. But as it dries, it softens back up, gets a lot lighter. So here I was going over it with a really watered down black. So it's mostly water that's turning it this color. And then just trying to get an even coat on the whole thing, just to dial down the pink a little bit and give it kind of a dirty, old, worn look. Alright, so I got this week's carving done of Popeye. You can see him there. And turned out pretty cool looking. So if you like the video, if you like the carving, give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and we'll see you next week.